All right, and good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin. Thank you for joining us on WWL Plus. And again, if you go to our Facebook page, you're able to ask us questions in real time. Devin Bartolotta is kind of standing by to see some of those questions, and we'll try and alleviate any fears, because again, this does kind of trigger some anxiety for folks, as we don't often see severe weather and a fairly significant severe weather threat for us tomorrow. We'll start with the rest of this evening. Next few hours, we could see some showers and thunderstorms kind of fire up in western central Louisiana and move our way. Now, greater threat of those to be severe to our north, but we do find the North Shore under a slight level 2 threat of severe weather, as well as the North Shore, parts of it, at least in the tangent, now not included, well, it's not showing up, I should say, in this polygon watch box, but it does include Tangipahoa Parish as well as Washington Parish, as some of these storms that you see kind of firing up as they move to the east could become strong, severe, but as the kind of watching our computer model here over the next several hours, a lot of that will probably stay a little bit more removed to our north. So the real focus is going to be on tomorrow morning when we start to see the thunderstorms set up. Now, what's going to be a little more complicated with the timing as well as the intensity of those storms is that we're not going to be really tracking a line moving, say, from Texas across western Louisiana. It'll be a line that starts setting up maybe just off to our west as we head into the around noon hour and then continuing eastward. And as that line starts to set up and move eastward, a significant threat of severe weather just to our north, something that the Storm Prediction Center does not issue often, maybe once every couple of years, a high level 5 threat, meaning there is more and more confidence of a more tornadic outbreak from Hattiesburg up to Jackson and then further into Alabama. Montgomery, just outside of Montgomery, but Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, all under that level 5 threat. We are still under that significant level 4 threat, and everyone is under that hatched area, meaning a potential for stronger tornadoes. Again, something we don't see very frequently. Kind of explaining those categories, because I know they can be kind of confusing. The enhanced and moderate, again, more of us are under that level 4 threat. What that means is we could see more widespread thunderstorms that become severe, and they are longer lived, meaning if something does develop, they may stay on the ground, whether or not it's tornadic, but the significance of it and the impacts from it are of a longer duration. The storms tend to be intense, and what we tend to see are the stronger tornadoes. Again, strong winds that we've been talking more about, not only associated with the thunderstorms, but just in general, the winds will be fairly brisk, as well as the threat of some large hail within some of those stronger thunderstorms. So here is what's going on. Very vigorous, large upper level low is moving across the plains. Now, this itself is going to be moving up toward Minnesota, Wisconsin, and into Canada. But what's going to happen is as this pushes farther north, on the back side, we're going to see this upper trough start to form. It's going to deepen, meaning dig farther south and kind of base itself over Texas. As that is occurring, it is increasing the instability in the atmosphere and helping to develop a surface low much farther south. So while the main energy with that first upper low is lifting north, that upper trough is going to help to intensify the cold front, and that is really going to be the big trigger for the storm. The trigger is there with this surface and upper trough, surface low and upper trough. But what about the ingredients? Well, we're going to see ample Gulf moisture surging in and all the ingredients necessary for tornadic storms. Certainly rotating severe supercell thunderstorms, meaning thunderstorms that would rotate, and those could easily produce tornadoes. Now, the environment, even before the storms begin, would be primed for severe weather. So if any other isolated thunderstorms are able to fire up out ahead of the developing line, they could become strong severe. I think most of the morning should be rather quiet, at least until about the noon hour, but a few isolated rogue thunderstorms certainly cannot be ruled out. Now, as we head a little bit closer to noon, again, the environment's still primed for tornadic storms, and that's when this line of weather begins to fire up. And it could be just off to our west. That line may be setting up right over our viewing area. Either way, we're looking at kind of the time frame after noon until until about 5, 6 o'clock. After about 7, 8, I think the line is falling apart for us. Pretty significant though in Mississippi, then moving more into Alabama, but our weather immediately starts to improve. So getting a rough idea of the timing, I think the morning is going to be fairly quiet. It'll be as this line starts to fire up a little closer to the noon hour. So if you have anything to do tomorrow, maybe do it in the morning. It'll be windy though. And then by the afternoon, just hang inside because these storms are going to be rough at times before we finally start to see the weather settling down by 7, 8. So then if you have dinner plans tomorrow night, the weather will already be improving. It's going to be windy all day tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now the sustained wind forecast from the Weather Service, 20 to 25 miles an hour. Some of our models are going sustained over 30 with gusts over 40. I think they're a little bit more conservative with their numbers right now at 20 to 25 sustained and gusts to 40. Either way, it is going to be a windy day, and that again is before the storms even arrive. It has been windy all day today, winds settling a bit, but we're going to stay pretty breezy through the overnight period, and again increasing those winds before the storms arrive. So a fairly windy day overall. Then within the thunderstorms themselves, winds could be gusting to 60 and even possibly 70. And that would be a far end of the intensity scale if they were to gust that high, but certainly 60-mile-an-hour winds. And regardless of the winds or tornadoes, damage is damage, and it could be fairly significant based upon the winds. And we'll just have to see how settled or how linear the line actually develops, if they become more cellular in nature or we see kind of a solid line of storms rolling through. So from late morning, we'll be on the watch, but certainly by about the noon hour through the early evening, tornadoes, strong winds, and even hail, all potential. So severe weather alerts, you want to be able to get those. Again, if there's a silver lining in all of this, is that the storms are occurring during daylight hours. So everyone is a little bit more observant of the weather as opposed to going to bed and hoping your phone wakes you up. But have the WWL app for those alerts because they will notify you, and its geolocation, so it will warn you if there is a storm near you. Devin?
All right, Chris, thank you so much. If you're just joining us here, we are on WWL Plus and streaming on all of our platforms here. To give you an update on the expected severe weather that's coming our way tomorrow, we're with Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin here asking your questions. I'm watching our Facebook Live feed right now, so if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, pop a question in the comments and I will be able to ask Chris. But we do have hundreds of people that I see watching on our Facebook page right now. So Chris, if you could, a lot of those people I saw joined after you talked about kind of the big picture of things, of how big this expected area of possible severe weather is all over the South. Could you talk about that a little bit more, and who exactly, how far out is expected to see some bad weather tomorrow?
Now, you know, I don't want to downplay the fact that we are under that level 4 threat, but when I came in today and I saw that now level 5 for parts of Mississippi and Alabama, that really is attention grabbing, because even a level 4 is significant, but a very rare high risk, that's the level 5 terminology, is even rarer. So this is something that the Storm Prediction Center, as I mentioned, does not issue very often. Now, this area, again, it almost looks massive. Not everyone is going to experience severe weather. What this is a highlight of the area most likely to experience severe weather within a certain point. So obviously your likelihood increases because we expect more severe storms in those orange to red to pink areas, but even a few isolated strong storms are possible in the yellow and green. And notice this is an area that includes from the entire northern Gulf Coast all the way up, I'll kind of move the graphic here, all the way up into Michigan and almost Canada. So this is a large area, with the obvious highlight being the deep south, and a little bit more so of an issue now for Mississippi and into Alabama under that level 4, under that level 5 threat. What this graphic kind of encompasses a couple of things. One, it talks more about the likelihood of experiencing severe weather, and it also, when they get into that level 4 and 5, maybe somewhat even the level 3, the enhanced threat, it does show a little bit more confidence in the forecasters' thinking of the certainty, or at least more certainty, of severe weather. As I mentioned, these are not things that the National Weather, or excuse me, the Storm Prediction Center issues just to be, erring on the side of caution. There is a lot of consideration when they jump and issue those level 4s and 5. And they don't do that. As I said, this is sometimes you don't see them for several years for a level 4 or 5 threat of severe weather. Very rare do you see those high risks of severe storms. So a pretty significant threat, not only for us, but really all of the Deep South going through tomorrow, starting again kind of midday for us, and then late evening and night as those storms progress eastward.
Now, I don't expect you to have the exact statistics at the drop of a hat here, but can you tell me how rare this really is, that we are in that enhanced of a level, or at least where central Mississippi is? How often you see a 5?
It's once every few years, and I'm going to try and go here online to the Storm Prediction Center site, because they kind of break down that one graphic I was showing with the kind of what the meaning is with the, you know, enhanced, moderate, high risk. But they also discuss the fact that these are sometimes once or twice for a high risk, kind of a once or twice in a lifetime type storm. So this is not something that is, oh, you get it once every couple of years. It's the possibility of experiencing some significantly severe storms, and with more of a focus on the threat of strong tornadoes. When we talk about tornado outbreaks where it's numerous EF3, 4, and 5 tornadoes, it's going to be in those areas that are under those high risks of severe storms. Again, not to downplay the risk to us, when we have been under level 3s and 4s in the past, not always, but when we have, it typically is when we do see some of those stronger tornadoes. Again, not a guarantee, but I go back to the New Orleans East tornado. I go back to the one that we had, and actually had a couple of occurrences from the West Bank crossing into Arabi, one that kind of continued into Mishu. It's under these higher threats of severe storms. So it is, again, not a guarantee. And even if I could say I could guarantee a tornado, you can't tell exactly where it is going to be. All we can do with severe weather is say the ingredients are there, the triggering mechanism is there for severe storms, and everyone is at risk. That's why you tend to see these large areas highlighted under the severe weather threat. We're all under that same threat level. It's just going to be exactly where some of the severest storms set up.
I think that's why it scares people so much, right? Because you never really know, and you don't know when the moment will be.
And there is a little bit more uncertainty, so these type of forecast is more of a, hey, be on an alert and pay very close attention to the weather throughout the day, as this isn't one of the more run-of-the-mill level 1 or 2. I'll be honest, the level 1s and 2s, we see them all the time, and more often than not, we get absolutely nothing. When we get a 3, I pay a little bit more attention, and I'm saying this as a meteorologist. When I see a level 3, it's something I need to pay a little bit more attention to. A 4 and a 5, not too far away, you're watching this like a hawk. Yeah,
we have a couple viewers on the Facebook feed right now who are watching us from East Central Mississippi, other places in Mississippi, so we certainly hope that they are safe tomorrow, and of course watching the forecast. We do have one question. This is actually our first question, and this kind of relates to the timeline of things for our area specifically. This person, Cindy, is asking if it is safe to have a walking parade in Morgan City tomorrow at 1. So what are things going to be looking like at 1? Oh,
not at all. Not at all.
Immediately no.
Immediately no. That is not a good idea. This is not something that, and depending upon exactly where this line sets up, it could be a little bit more kind of from a corridor, Morgan City, up toward Assumption, maybe Baton Rouge. There are some models that indicate the line really doesn't get firing up until a little bit more, say, over St. James, St. John, St. Charles Parish, Bayou region, and the North Shore. So exactly where this line sets up tomorrow is going to be key, because everyone then from that line east will be under the gun, but wherever the line sets up, anything west really not under a risk of severe storm. So it is possible for Morgan City that the line sets up just off to your east. Then if that's the case, you're okay. But if the line sets up right over you, it would be in that noon to 1 time frame. Again, you got time in the morning if you want to go run errands or do anything, but by the time we get toward noon 1, as these storms start firing up, you want to just be inside until the early evening.
Okay, and that is amazing advice. We've got people watching us now from all over the place. To close this out, I guess, before we go, I would like, maybe this is a team effort between you and I, maybe we should go over, first of all, the ways to watch the forecast tomorrow and what alerts to have. And secondly, what are some tips, I guess, to stay safe if this does happen to go over your home? I guess first of all, you got to find an interior wall, right?
Yeah,
Bathrooms
yes,
are a great place to be because they're sturdy, no windows.
Exactly. As centrally located into your house as you can get, that is as far away from exterior walls. You know, my house, I have kind of a downstairs hallway, pantry, bathroom. Any one of those three would be okay. They're far enough from exterior walls. That's where you want to be. One thing to do tonight and even early tomorrow morning is any kind of loose items you have outside. I'm just thinking myself, I've got a little table outside, some potted plants. Bring those, at least if nothing else, up against the house, just because with the wind sustained, again, even before the storms arrive, it's going to be windy all day. Take flags down, any decorations that are outside, bring them inside. Take off door hangers, bring them in. Just anything that could be debris and cause some damage, bring those inside. You can do that easily. And then as far as what to do while we are kind of under the gun of these storms, have your phone. We're going to be on streaming. Obviously, we have March Madness. We have basketball on CBS Channel 4 during the day. If there is a warning issued, we will be cutting into programming, but we're also going to be doing kind of special updates and discussions on our streaming app as well. And plus, I'm going to be with Alexandra Cranford, Alexa Trishler, and we're going to be all over social media kind of throughout the midday and into the afternoon until this develops and is gone. And we are pretty good about being everywhere. You know that we can find the forecast for all of you at home. We always live stream pretty much everywhere we can. You can find us on WWLTV.com. You can also find us on WWL Plus, which is our app for your TV, your app for your phone, regular TV. As Chris said, we'll be cutting into programming if that is warranted. Right. Again, lots of viewers from Mississippi tonight on our page here. The general advice, though, tonight is the night to prepare. Tomorrow, you said around 10 a.m.-ish is when everybody should be ready to stay at home. Yeah, by 10 we could see a few thunderstorms popping up. The models have been fairly consistent and probably not really getting much development until around the noon to 1 o'clock hour. But I said what is a little bit more frustrating with regards to the timing and just how intense the line is, it won't be something we track from Texas or even southwest Louisiana. It'll be a line that is setting up almost right on top of us and then slowly, but you know, pushing to the east as it does develop. But it really is going to be exactly where and when that line forms, which may not be until after the noon hour. So you still have until about noon to go run errands, do anything you need to do. But after that, I would really recommend just hanging inside. All right, Chris, any final thoughts before we head out? No, again, I don't overplay weather, I don't hype it, but you know, a high risk, a level 5 for the deep south is significant, and for southeast Louisiana to be under a threat level of a 4, it is something that we do need to pay close attention to. Again, not everyone, 90+% of us are not going to see severe weather. It's that small percent that do, that it could be significant. Yeah, and we all need to be aware just in case that becomes one of us, I guess. Absolutely. All right. Chris, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. We will see you at 10 o'clock tonight. You can watch on WWL or anytime on WWL Plus. You can download that app on your TV and watch for free. Have a great evening.